Good morning. This is Pastor Steve West, and you have joined us on Tuesday morning. This is May 12th, 2020. During this time of pandemic, this is my Tuesday morning devotional for the people of Arab First United Methodist Church and anybody else that might be sharing and watching today. Thank you for being here. I've been thinking this morning about the difference between surviving and thriving. The difference between surviving and thriving. And what the difference really is. As we look at that, I'd like to begin with a scripture, and we'll come back to it a little bit later today. This is from Psalm 139, one of my favorite scriptures in the whole Bible. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, O Lord, you know it completely. Now, we spend a lot of time right now doing things that have to do with surviving. I don't know about you, or maybe I do, but my schedule is very different than usual. It is very strange. Everything from the time that I get up to what I do first thing in the morning to how I get ready, to spending some time with God and the rhythm of the day and getting my work done and where that happens and how that happens and then how to relax with my family at the end of the day. So much of that is so different, and part of the difference is, to be honest, we've gone on survival mode. How do we make it through every day? How do we get the things that we need? Sandy had a little minor surgery this week. How do we function and get that surgery done in a safe manner? How do we operate the church so that the church can survive? How can we operate in this pandemic in the middle of what's going on in humanity so that humanity can survive? There's a sense in which much of our schedule is on survival mode, if you really think about it. But I want to think about today what the difference between surviving and thriving, and what that would mean for you today, what that means for me today, and how I live the moments of the day. And you can make a lot of decisions that affect the outcome of your day. Am I going to have a good day? Am I going to have a positive day? Am I going to do something meaningful today? How am I going to live? But really, for me, the difference between surviving and thriving is not so much about what you do during the day. It's about getting in touch with the grace of God in such a way that it forms your day. And so when Jesus says, I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly, I don't think he's just saying, I come so that you can make better choices about how to live your day so that you can move from surviving to thriving. I believe he was saying, I am the grace of God that comes to give you abundant life. So the difference for me between surviving and thriving is getting in touch with the grace of God. Now, this scripture is pretty incredible. For me, in my tradition, we call it prevenient grace. It's the grace that goes before, getting in touch with the absolute belovedness that God has for us, that God reaches to us with an incredible, loving stance. This is what this scripture is about. Oh Lord, this is David's prayer. Oh Lord, you have searched me and known me. I'm not searching for you anymore, God. I realize you're searching for me. That's the pivotal moment when we move from surviving to thriving, as we realize that God's love is what's so meaningful. It's not just what we do. It's about who God is. Oh Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. That has everything to do with our schedule. I've been thinking about when I sit down and when I rise up. I've been doing a lot too much sitting down and not enough rising up. But God knows when I sit down and when I rise up. You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with all my ways, even before a word is on my tongue. Oh Lord, you know it completely. You are known by God and loved by God. That's the starting place for a life that moves from surviving to thriving. It's hard right now. You might have many, many difficult feelings. You might be experiencing some depression. You might be experiencing a whole lot of uncertainty. You might not be know where this is going. Some of us are grieving, either fresh grief because we lost loved ones during strange times, or because maybe the grief just bubbles up during this time. The difference between surviving all that and thriving through that is not about what you do. It's about the grace and the love of God. So I want to invite you today to get in touch with how beloved you are, how precious you are in God's sight, that God would search you and know you and be familiar with all your ways, that we serve a God that has such grace, that being a Christian is not about getting it right or getting it straight or making sure you do what you're supposed to do today. It's about the incredible grace and love of God that's most vividly expressed in the cross and the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, but it's expressed in all sorts of ways throughout the Bible's narrative and throughout the book of life. I want to encourage you today to get in touch with the grace and the incredible love that God has for you. That's the difference between surviving and thriving. It's getting in touch with that grace. May God bless you today and keep you today in Jesus' holy name.